Hello guys. So like Carla said in class, I will still want to commend you guys for even making an attempt, but making an attempt is not enough. We need to actually really start to get this so that we can make good progress. We still have acts 3 to 5 that we haven't really done. So I mean, if you understand how to analyze, it will make more sense. We'll make more progress when we begin to look at the remaining acts. Is that okay? So I didn't mention it in class, but your just an exam will come from Act 2, because we haven't done Act 3 to 5. Even though I told you guys to read it, still go ahead and read it, but you can focus more on Act 2 because your test and exam will come from there. Right. So just to give you an idea of the kind of essay I'm expecting, I really have to emphasize and insist on this because I know you guys can do it. You just need to put in the effort. So this essay, I was able to write it in like 50 minutes. I wrote, let me see how many words do I have. I have 716 words, showing you that it is possible. It is not because it is me, it's because it is, I've thought about this. I have some experience that you also should have by now. So don't think it's magic. It's not magic. It's very possible. You can do it if you put in the effort. And like I said in the last video, it takes a lot of thinking. So you need to, practice looking closely at small parts of the whole text and thinking, okay, what point can I make from here? What evidence can I use to support it? And how will I analyze that evidence? So if you look at my paragraphs now, you will notice that what I've done is simply take maybe just this first part, one paragraph, this part again, another paragraph, right? And then from here all the way down here another paragraph, and then here another paragraph. So that's the way you should try to analyze. That way you have more to write. That way you'll be forced to think about what you are writing. You'll be forced to look for a point in each of those small extracts and think of how they all connect together to create the meaning in the whole extract. So I need you guys to really take this seriously. Now let me show you what I've done. So I'll remind you again of my key. My thesis will be in yellow, my point will be in this color, and so on and so forth. This one will probably be different from the one we did before. I can't remember how I color-coded it, but as you can see here, language is this shade of blue, or I don't know if it's green. Context red, writer's intention this, and audience reaction. So as you read the essay, you should know what I'm trying to do at every point. Now, my intro is very straightforward, and I just simply introduce my thesis here. So I'll put that in yellow. By using an extended metaphor that is dominated by religious imagery, Shakespeare establishes the deeply passionate yet naive nature of the relationship between Romeo and Juliet. So I've made two key points here. The relationship is deeply passionate, but it is also naive. But you will see that it is not Juliet that is naive, it's actually Romeo that is naive. Now, I've also mentioned two key techniques here: extended metaphor and religious imagery. So there is no way you analyze this text and not mention those two things, because they're like the most obvious, apart from the fact that they are what form the sonnet. These are the most obvious, and these are the two most obvious points that will dominate my essay. So I need to establish this from the very beginning so that I give my examiner a focus. I let them know that I know what I'm writing about. I understand the extract, and I know exactly where Shakespeare is going with that extract. If you don't have a good thesis, you will not have a good essay. I have to emphasize that again. So please take your time to think about your thesis, right? And be sure that you can support, you can write an entire essay that supports that thesis. Now, my first point, I said the extent to which Romeo is smitten by Juliet is obvious from his first words to her. He elevates her to a divine status by comparing her to a holy shrine and declaring his hands unworthy to touch her. This is in keeping with his portrayal as an archetypal courtly lover who essentially worships the idea of love. Now, this is my point here. My point is that Romeo is completely smitten by Juliet. Right. And I begin my analysis from here before I introduce my evidence. This is my evidence here. It calls her a holy shrine. So obviously he's completely smitten. He thinks that she is divine. Now all of this is just my lead in. And my lead in continues here before I begin to analyze. So as you can see there, I'm basically rephrasing what Romeo said. This is the direct quote, that's why it is in this color. Now, this here is my analysis. And it's mostly contextual analysis because I'm referring to, how lovers are portrayed, how courtly lovers are portrayed at that time in Shakespeare's time. So I'm going to put this in red because it is contextual analysis. However, he also suggests that his lips are two blushing pilgrims. Evidence again. Two blushing pilgrims that can undo the profanity of his hands with a kiss. If you don't know what this word means, check it up, please. If I use any words here, because I don't have time to begin to explain all the words I used, check what they mean so that you can see why I use them, please. This is my lead in into that evidence, my background to that evidence, and continues here also. This is just to basically build a cushion around my evidence, so because it doesn't just exist in a vacuum. I can't just quote and begin to analyze. Now this is my analysis. Again, I'm using context here. I'm saying what the implication of what Romeo has done here by continuing to build on the religious imagery to declare his interest in physical intimacy with the divine Juliet. Romeo treads dangerously on the edges of blasphemy, as a Elizabethan audience would have considered it idol worship. So what I'm saying here is that what Romeo did by calling Juliet divine is almost blasphemous, because at the time, under Anglican religious belief, it was wrong to idolize anybody or anything. And what Romeo is doing here is almost idolizing Juliet. Is that okay? So the audience would have seen that as kind of blasphemous. But Romeo felt he needed to do that to show how much he was in love with Juliet. So this here now is my language analysis of the same evidence. So I'll put that in this color. Right, so I have a full paragraph that has a clear point. My point is that Romeo is completely smitten by Juliet. He's totally in love with her. And I've given evidence to show that he elevates her, right, to a level of the divine, right, which shows him to be an archetypal lover. That's my analysis there. I've also given evidence of him calling himself two blushing pilgrims to suggest that he really, really wants to get physical with Juliet, even though this would have made him look like a blasphemous person. Right. So this is a complete paragraph now that has points, evidence, and analysis, and some lead in also. This is extremely an important part of your paragraph. So you need to actually take time to think about these things before you do them. My next point. One would have expected a 13-year-old Juliet to be coy and naive, but she seems just as adept at the game of love as Romeo. This is my point. My point here is that Juliet is not just one small girl that Romeo can bamboozle. She's also very smart, and she seems to have some experience in this love game. We don't know if she has any experience, but the way she responded to Romeo here is like she actually knows what's up. She knows what Romeo is after. But in this case, she's also after the same thing, right? So that's the point I'm making here. Her response suggests that she's just as smitten by Romeo, but is more aware of the social implications of getting intimate with a stranger, as she cleverly suggests that Romeo's touch is just as good as his kiss. Now, this is my evidence, but it is paraphrased, not direct word for word, right? And this here is analysis. Put that in gray, right? So what I'm saying here is that yes, she knows what Romeo is after, and she's after the same thing, but she's more conscious of how it would look for her to be loving up with a stranger, someone that she just saw, no, someone that she just met today at her father's party. It would look somehow, it would look strange if if people saw them, right? So she's more conscious of that, and so she's just trying to play along in a very clever way, right? By saying that, okay, you've already touched me, that's enough as a kiss. You don't need to do anything more than that, right? But by extending his metaphor, linking their love to religion, Shakespeare suggests that Juliet is already drawn into a romantic connection with Romeo, and implicitly agrees that what they share is divine. So her initial coyness is perhaps only to give Romeo a chance to further convince her of his love. Now there are two things I've done here. I have introduced writer's intention here. I've tried to show what Shakespeare is trying to do, because Romeo was the one that began the metaphor of their love being a divine effort, and then Juliet now builds on that by saying that, okay, don't be so harsh on your hands. Your hands are, your lips are pilgrims. I agree, right? So she continues that imagery, and so that's a stylish way of saying that, okay, she's already she's already interested, she's already caught up in the web, right? So this now is my own analysis. Our initial shyness is just to give Romeo a chance to to do more, to make more of an effort. She doesn't want to come easy. That's what I think. You may disagree, but that's my own analysis, and you can see that I have evidence to back it up, right? So second paragraph, analyzed. Now in my third paragraph, I now focus on the structure of the extract. What in the first two, in the first part, Romeo used 4 lines to say what he wanted to say. Juliet also used 4 lines, right? But you notice that after that it got shorter. Both of them had just maybe 1 or 2 lines. So it's like there's a quick exchange. I talk, you talk. I talk, you talk. In drama, that has a it has an effect when people are just talking back and forth like that. It shows that they are either really drawn to each other, or or there is a disagreement going on, right? It can be either, but in this case now what it means is that both of them are completing each other's words, and that's what lovers do, right? So they are already they are already drawn to each other, they are already connected on a very deep level. Let me stop this video here and continue in the next video. I have only 1 minute left.